Hello, my name is Patryk Aleksandrowicz, and in this video I will showcase the game Warpfest. It's a relatively small project I've made for my future games application. Warpfest is a 2D platformer built around a unique movement mechanic, teleportation to be more precise. The main character carries a small portable teleporter that he can throw using the left mouse button in the direction specified by the mouse cursor. Then he can teleport to that position using the right mouse button. And like in most platformers, the player can also jump using the spacebar, move using A and D keys, and wall jump. The game is a linear experience that takes between 15 to 20 minutes to complete. The first few sequences are supposed to teach the player about the teleport and give them a chance to get used to the controls. The design of the early stages makes it clear that the teleport can be thrown farther and higher than the player can jump. These stages also force the player to utilize the teleporter's smaller size. And finally, this long spike gap should be enough to make the player notice the second camera appearing in the bottom right corner of the screen whenever they throw the teleporter. After passing through some more challenges, the player will reach this section, which is supposed to teach them about the wall sliding and wall jumping. This pillar blocks the way forward, so the player will have to try and throw the teleporter while falling down this pit. Upon first attempt, there is a high chance the player will fail and end up in this short buzzsaw corridor. At the end of the corridor, the player will come across another pit, filled with more buzzsaws. Throwing the teleporter downward will show the key all the way at the bottom. Now, if the player will try to jump down this pit, they will discover that they can slide down the wall, and, seeing more buzzsaws down here, they will probably try jumping, learning that they can bounce off the wall in the process. Also, this silly little basket-like object might give the player a hint that they can leave the teleporter inside here to easily get back up. The last two types of obstacles that the game introduces are the green beam and the yellow beam. In this section, the yellow beam will slowly approach the player and kill them. But, seeing a new obstacle and no other way around it, the player will probably try throwing the teleport, which will pass through the beam, teaching the player how to deal with these. The green beam is introduced in a similar way. The player, after experiencing how the yellow beam works, will try throwing the teleporter again, but this time the teleporter will disappear the second it hits the beam. With nothing left to do, the player can only wait for the beam to hit them, only to discover that they can pass through it safely. All of these mechanics are introduced early in the game to later be used in more complicated scenarios. A good example would be this sequence with two locks. Here the player has to get to the door by getting the key in the lower corridor. We can see the key and the two yellow beams behind the locks. And after walking all the way left, we can also see a spiky wall. Since the player already had to go through a couple of these to get here, they can probably figure out that this one is going to move the second they go down. They can also learn this the hard way. These green beams, on the other hand, limit where the player can throw the teleporter, leaving the yellow beam corridor as the only natural option, given that the player could see that the lowest corridor is a dead end. So, the player has to jump down, throw the teleporter mid-air, and rush to the key before the teleport hits the lock in the upper corridor, leaving the player with no safe escape option. The game was originally supposed to have more of these sequences, but I didn't have enough time to implement more stages. However, I did include 3 secret keys that unlock 2 bonus sequences that can give the player a taste of how much the difficulty could escalate if this was a full-fledged platformer. But as of today, that is it for the game, and that is it for this video. Thank you for watching.